Welcome to my channel War Chronicle, where history's forgotten battles, untold stories, and incredible heroes come alive. Here we take you deep into the most defining moments of war. From ancient battlefields to modern conflicts, that's what they called it. It was designed by the Germans during World War II, and it was designed as an anti-partisan weapon. During the Korean War, soldiers noticed that the lighters that they had with them were very effective at burning away the heavy clothing worn by the Chinese and North Korean soldiers. They'd just light the clothing on fire and burn it away. So the US military started issuing every single soldier a free Zippo lighter. So towards the end of World War II, as the Germans were losing the war, they came up with a plan to assassinate everyone important in the Allied forces with poison, including President Truman, Churchill, Stalin, King George VI of England, Mussolini, and even Hitler himself. The plan involved injecting lethal poison into the heels of the boots of occupation forces. But the problem was, the British already knew about it, and they found a way to counter it. It was called Operation Morning Light, and it was developed by the United States military in case the Russians ever invaded Alaska. The plan was that they would use biological warfare, specifically a strain of smallpox that was dormant in a lab somewhere in Utah. They would fly it over to Russia and release it and infect millions of Russians with smallpox, causing widespread panic and death. The idea was that this would cause the Russians to turn around and go back home, effectively defending Alaska. But this plan was eventually scrapped for a few different reasons. First of all, they didn't think it would work. Secondly, it was illegal under the Red Cross. And thirdly, they just decided that maybe invading Alaska wasn't that big of a threat. And finally, Operation Morning Light was canceled. They replaced the heels of their boots with cardboard, and the Germans never followed through with their plan. Comment below with your thoughts on any of the topics discussed today. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that subscribe button because that's how you be notified whenever I upload a new video, which you should definitely do because I put out videos every single week about amazing stories from history that you won't learn anywhere else. I'm the host. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And in total, over 2 million Zippo lighters were given to US soldiers during the Korean War. It was designed in 1967 by the British, and it was designed to be used against tanks. The idea was that you would wear the helmet, and then you would have a remote detonator that you could press that would blow the top of the tank. You'd open and kill everyone inside. All you had to do was get close enough to the tank and jump in it and then blow it up. Pretty simple, right? Well, yeah, pretty simple. There was just one problem. It didn't work. Only 2 were ever created, and neither of them ever worked. And one of them ended up drowning the test tank crew, and the other one just fizzled. Talk about a bust. Now, that's not necessarily a weapon, but it sure was effective at taking away the ability for soldiers to stay warm during the winter months. But sometimes dumb ideas actually work brilliantly, and that's what happened with the fishing rod. Wait, what are you talking about? Well, the fishing rod was used in 1953 by Francis Gary Powers during his mission in the U-2 spy plane incident. See, he was flying over Russia, and his plane was shot down, and he bailed out with a parachute. He was carrying top-secret documents with him, and he needed to destroy them. So he pulled out his fishing rod, and he used it to smash the film containing the top-secret documents. And that's why we have such blurry photos of Francis Gary Powers when he was captured. Basically, it was meant to be a big old net that would capture partisans behind enemy lines. Not like the mustard gas or tear gas, but actual poison. In 1915, the French were in desperate need of an edge against the Germans during World War I, and so they came up with the idea of throwing glass vials of strychnine poison into the trenches of the Germans. Strychnine is the same thing that's in rat poison, and it causes extreme pain and suffering before killing you. The only problem with this plan was the wind. The wind would shift, and the French soldiers would end up killing themselves. I guess the saying goes, do as I say, not as I do. It also could have been used against Allied troops. But the way it worked was basically that there was like a grenade attached to the middle of this giant net. It'd be thrown like a boomerang, and then when it hit somebody or something, it would engulf them in the net and explode. It's pretty effective if you ask me. The fact that it was designed by the Germans, though, makes me think that it wasn't that effective. That's why it never really made it past the prototype stage and only a couple were ever built. Today we be counting down the top 5 most unusual weapons ever used in war. Alright, let's go ahead and dive right into it, starting off at No. 5 with the boomerang. At No. 4, we've got the Zippo. Yeah, it's literally the Zippo lighter. But hear me out. But it gets weirder at No. 3, with the poison gas. And speaking of poison, at No. 2, we've got Hitler's infamous poison plans. And finally, at No. 1, the weirdest weapon ever used in war was the self-destruct helmet. Now, a lot of these were kind of dumb ideas that didn't really work out that well. But I almost forgot. There is one more story that I wanted to share with you about an insane weapon that was used during the Cold War. All right, now it's time for you to leave your comments.